Test, test. Can you hear well يا شباب؟ Do we have everybody here? Take your seats يا شباب. Test. Fatima, can you stop the screen sharing just for a second? يلا شباب، الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله. شباب، ياسير, drop anything in your hand and sit down. I started talking. Drop anything on your hand and take your seats. Yeah, it's enough that you are late. Take your seat and listen. You want to get your share of roasting over here. Everybody, take your seats. Now, Shabab, before we get started, as you can see, we are behind the schedule a little bit, okay? And we want to know, listen, Fatima. No, everyone would listen. Forget, it's already, you have been lagging behind in the planning. Do not come now and plan. All the review team and everybody, they want to take their share of what I'm going to say over here, ya Shabab. Whenever we came here, ya Shabab, the masjid was locked. We didn't go from where to come. There were supposed to be some people to be here at 9 to set up everything and to set up the table. They were supposed to make sure there is a projector, there is a sound system. But I came here with a group expecting to come find everything that has been already set up. But for sure, Siddiqui family, they were asleep at home, coming whenever they want to come. Although they signed up to be here early, correct, ya Omar? And you said you will bring boys to set up everything. And even your sister, she was supposed to be here. Radia, you were supposed to be here. We came here, we don't know even how to turn on the sound system of the masjid. We are using ours. We are using everything. It is even our projector. Someone coming very late from the masjid to give us a projector later on. No, ya Shabab, where is the planning? Where is the planning, ya Ridwan? What have you been doing? Why the boys have been useless? Why didn't you even check on Omar if he's coming or not? Omar, why didn't you wear professional and tell Ridwan that you are going to be useless and you cannot make it on time? Radia and Fatima, why didn't you send on the group saying that no, we cannot be here on time? How come you place late and then you don't know how to turn on the speakers, how to turn on everything? We were even exploring. We need even, power outlet. Where are you, ya Shabab? Let me tell you something. Because I know what shaitan is going to be whispering in your ears as of now. Some of you may say, it is even out of our generosity that we are just, running this event. Instead of people or instead of the sheikh telling me, thank you, now he is roasting me in public. No, Shabab, it does not work this way. Here is the question. If you sign up to do something for the sake of Allah, you have to do this to the best of your ability. Do not say, no, it is just out of my generosity. I'm going to do this on a best effort basis. No. If you do not really do your job, you may be held accountable by Allah. If you tell people, for example, I am responsible for cleaning that masjid. Yes, inshallah, if you clean it up, Allah will reward you. But if you signed up for it and you prevented others from doing the job and then you fall short, you may be held accountable by Allah and you may be punished for it, ya shabab. Never ever let shaitan comes to you and whisper, it is enough, it is out of my generosity that I just came. No, there is an ayah in the Quran where Allah is clearly telling the people who say something similar to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Who knows the ayah before I say it? قل لا تمنوا علي إسلامكم بل الله يمن عليكم أن هداكم للإيمان إن كنتم مؤمنين. Do not make it a favor upon me that you accepted Islam. It is Allah is the one who is doing you the favor that He guided you to Iman if you were mu'mineen. فيا شباب, it is the favor from Allah that He used us to do this conference. It is not you are not doing Allah a favor. It is Allah is the one who did you a favor that He used you to do something for the sake of Allah. So you have to do this to the best possible way you can do. And if you cannot plan an event the right way, and Omar is asleep at home, and those girls, they don't know how to use the masjid, are we building a generation that can run the future of Islam here in this country? Or are we building some people who are useless? And then eventually, year after year, because you don't know how to run anything in your life, who is to blame? Whenever your kids are no longer Muslims, whenever your kids are useless because you did not do a good job. فأجين يا شباب, whenever you do something for the sake of Allah, make sure ya shabab, you do this in the best possible way. You run it ya shabab and you put your heart. If you sign up for a task, you cannot ignore it and you cannot come late and you cannot say somebody else will do it. This is ya shabab, if you do not learn the commitment to your deen and do whatever you can, I'm really scared, not only for your future, for the future of your kids. Does it make sense? How much time did we delay? And alhamdulillah, we're coming prepared with our equipment. You want to make sure, ya shabab, ya banat, if you run something, make sure you know how to do this and make sure you are well prepared. Sounds good, ya shabab? Sounds good, ya shabab? Ridwan, don't be useless. And don't let Omar to be useless. And do not let admins to be useless. And Dia is coming late and he does not care. Why those people did not come here at 9 and make sure everything is set up? Why didn't you come 2 days, 3 days before the event to make sure we are not missing anything? طيب, with this يعني ايه, maybe this took some of the aggression out of my heart. I was planning to save all this aggression to roast the authors while they are presenting, but what happened يعني ايه, got some of this out. يلا, ready? Use both of them.
Oh, yeah.
And now let me introduce our amazing MC who has been working day and night to make sure that the conference would run smoothly and everything would be successful.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Welcome everyone to our 2026 Reflection Conference. Thanks for joining us, although we're a few minutes behind schedule. Hopefully we can make it a good day, inshallah, today. Check, the clicker's not working. Clicker's not working. Again, the usual, technical difficulties to be expected. Okay. No, they were just tapped out of it. All right, inshallah, let's begin. I don't know what you're clicking, Sheikh, but okay. All right, inshallah, for the agenda today, don't pay attention to the times. They're going to be wildly off. And, we're always behind schedule and, even for our regular Tamkeen days. So don't really pay attention to the times. But inshallah, we're going to start with the importance of reflection articles presented by our review team. Then we're going to have our first featured article. We might actually skip that. The author is not here. So forget the second line.
Alhamdulillah, he will not be here. We're saving some time.
Yeah, we're saving some time. So we're catching up to the time that we missed. And then we're going to have the boys' debate after that. After that, we're going to start with our rapid fire speeches, followed by another featured article number 2, and then followed by Dhuhr. And can you move the Zoom thing? Like that. And then we're going to have our next featured article called Why.
Why do we have it?
We don't know. Can you please tab back into the slides? Okay. And then after our Why featured article, we're going to have rapid fire speeches part 2. And then we're going to have our favorite part of the whole event, the fundraiser and the Tamkeen land updates. And then after that, inshallah, food and asr time, followed by our keynote speech, women being separate beings from men, followed by our last featured article, The Brave Diya, followed by the Tamkeen books presented by our review team. And then we're going to end with probably awards, but most likely just roasting and punishment after that.
You are canceling.
So I'll hand it over to our reflection team to talk about the importance of reflection articles. Check, can we just get on a separate mic on this side? Is this working?
Assalamu alaikum, everyone.
Ya Shabab, you're gonna want to be messing up, especially now with this, okay?
Assalamu alaikum. So on behalf of the review team, I'm talking about the importance of reflection articles and why we hold this conference every year. So we know that writing is used for many reasons and can work in powerful ways. And one of the most influential ways, which we are not very happy about, is that Theodore Herzl, the founder of Israel, started with the whole reason he was able to create the state of Israel was through his book that he wrote, arguing for Zionism to have a state. And I think that idea really shows the importance of writing and how it can be super influential for the whole world and impacts our ummah very well. But just because he was able to do one horrible thing does not mean that writing can only be used in bad ways. We can do a lot of good with writing as well. And we know that majority of our scholars, or all of our scholars, they have been very important. They have many books and different things that they have written, which carries all the knowledge that we know today. We're also told in the Quran to reflect on the creations of Allah, and majority of our, which is where the name of our thing comes from, reflection articles, because we are hoping that every Tamkeener reflects on everything around them, and they can impact the people around them with their reflections and teach them to others. Along with this, we wanted to talk a little bit about the review process, which is very essential in our in the reflection team. And we, for the first time this year, had an issue with someone not wanting to do the review process, which was a little frustrating. So we want to emphasize the importance of it. So at the very beginning, somebody submits an article to the Tamkeen website. And after that, it goes through the first review, which is the basic review talking about the idea and the understanding of the article. Does it make sense? What is your idea? Or is it actually worth being shown to someone, or is it a very shallow idea? And this goes back and forth multiple times with the author while we continue giving them feedback and suggestions and comments, and they continue to implement them or reject them. And at the very end is the final review, which is mainly grammar and formatting and making it look pretty. And then we publish it to the website. So without further ado, we will start with our featured article number 1.
Need the clicker. I need the clicker. All right, thank you for explaining the review process. We're going to go into our featured article number 1. Actually, no, we're not. Oh. Sheikh, this is lagging, Sheikh. It's lagging. Can you go back? Okay, wait. It was supposed to be, this was our feature article number 1, a prison for the beloved and a paradise for the disbeliever. I think that should be believer. But unfortunately, that person's not here. So we're going to jump right into our boys' debate. Inshallah, so can the debaters join me on the stage? And inshallah, the topic of the debate is which model is more effective and sustainable for Tamkeen as an Islamic organization? Watch out. I'll look at this chairs in a little bit. Excuse me, don't block the thing. A volunteer-based model or a paid compensation-based model? Just give us a few seconds to set up and we'll get started, inshallah. Yeah. Yeah, bring the chairs. Yeah.
I'm fine. I don't know. I think last year the Sheikh was in charge of like setting up and everything. The event. Okay. Yeah. I think that side like made it easier because we didn't have to do any of that stuff because it was Sheikh's location, his school, so he just set up everything. It was in his office and everything. So yeah. I think so. We have time. I should be.
Here's the chairs here. Do the chairs here. Have it one corner and this other corner. You hear when you call it on that. Yeah.
All right. Can I have everyone's attention, please? So inshallah, like I mentioned earlier, our two teams are going to be debating about which model is more effective and sustainable for Tamkeen as an Islamic organization, a volunteer-based model or a paid compensation-based model. And the way this will work is that each team will have 8 minutes opening statement where they'll present their core arguments and, okay, 4 minutes opening statement each side. Well, they're going to present their core arguments and their main evidence, followed by another 4-minute round of rebuttals going back and forth. After the rebuttal, we're going to have some cross-examination where the other team is going to ask each other questions. After that, we're going to have our closing statements, but I think we'll see how the debate goes. If it starts to get more heated, we'll give people time to talk on each side. And also, we encourage at the end of the debate, we encourage you guys' input as well, from the crowd. So we're going to have Q&As from the crowd on both teams, and just to keep it more engaging. So inshallah, right now we're going to start with opening statements from Team Leah.
So just before we start the debate, I think it's important to put a disclaimer that this debate was put in place because, Sheikh Muhammad Ali on Eid, he had a conversation with Brother Fattah, and it was a very productive conversation. And I think we wanted to push it forward and to see how far one side could go or the other side could go. But I think it's important to note that, we were put on one side versus the other, but it doesn't mean we're actually advocating for this side, So maybe somebody's on that side, but they're advocating for actually this side. And maybe somebody's on this side, but they're advocating for that side. And I think it's very important to not take the debate with a grain of salt, to take in the evidences that we're giving. But at the end, it's important that maybe Sheikh, you would give your input, or the parents, or even the boys or the girls, because maybe one side is being swayed in the wrong direction or not. We can't necessarily say for sure. That's why, alhamdulillah, we have people who are knowledgeable, and yes, we will take their input as that, inshallah. Jazakallah khair.
Jazakallah for pointing that out. Okay, who wants to go first? All right, we'll have Team Dia go first. 4 minutes, introduction.
Huh? So we have Team Dia, just a little bit of an introduction real quick. We have not Team Dia, Absar, and Hasuna. We're representing the paid compensation-based model. And we're going against Team Omar, Suleiman, and Wakia in the volunteer-based model. As for the coaches, we probably won't be talking as much as the younger guys to give them an opportunity, not because we did no research and did no homework. But yeah, so one of you guys. Oh. Okay, we have Hasuna, and he's in grade 8, and he's going to be presenting the paid compensation model, and he's a great speaker.
So our opening statement is that Tamkeeners should charge a responsible participation fee, or not that wrong one. So our opening statement.
So our opening statement is we think that I'm in seventh grade. Our opening statement is we think that Tamkeen volunteers should be paid for their work. We think this because sometimes when, like an example as right now, Sheikh said earlier that there was volunteers that were supposed to come at 9. If they didn't come because Sheikh said they slept in or we don't know the reason. But if they were paid, they would probably be coming because obviously they're getting paid.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. So if we see in the paid compensation model, we see that yes, we all understand that volunteers are necessary, and when you're doing work for the sake of Allah, you need to be doing work for the sake of Allah without being paid. People understand that, but the argument isn't the permissibility or whether somebody should be a volunteer or shouldn't. The argument is which model is more effective and sustainable for Tamkeen as an Islamic organization. So which model effectively pushes this Islamic organization to its full capacity? If you look at masajid all around the world right now, there is, I don't know if you could point to a single one that's performing at a high level, that gives da'wah at a high level. They have mashayikh coming and doing Quran halaqas for hundreds, if not thousands of students at a high level who are not being compensated for their work. I hope that makes sense, and that's our opening statement. Jazakumullah khair.
All right, Jazakallah khair, Diya. We're going to move on to the other side opening statement.
Assalamu alaikum. My name is Sulaiman, and I'm in seventh grade. Our opening statement is like Tamkeen should stay as a volunteer-based system because it increases like the spiritual bond between you and like Islam and stuff. Because if you have pay, then it'll just like your intention for most of the stuff will just be for pay, and if you don't have like the intention to go for the sake of Allah, then it's not going to be as strong of a bond with you and like the other people and stuff. So, um, uh, yeah, and like intention really matters because if you're going for like pay, that's not like same as if you're going for the sake of Allah. And and throughout Islamic history, like lots of mosques and like um, charity organizations and stuff, they've ran on volunteer-based systems. The thing is, with what Leah said, all of like the big mosques that which had like hundreds of thousands of students, that's on a much bigger scale. Tamkeen is obviously like not as big, so the pay, like if you have like less kids, then you obviously don't have very much load to do compared to the other like bigger masjids and charity organizations. So the pay isn't really necessary because if you have the intention to do it for the sake of Allah, then you should be doing it to your full potential. And yeah.
Assalamu alaikum. My name is Wakir. I'm in the 8th grade. We believe that Tamkeen should stay a volunteer-based system. Only remain a volunteer-based organization because it builds a stronger bond with Allah because you're doing the work for the sake of Allah. And for these reasons, Tamkeen should continue to rely on volunteer rather than being a paid administration.
Yeah, that's our opening statement. Jazakallah khair. All right, thank you. So now that we sort of understand both sides of the argument, we're going to move on to our rebuttal round. So Team Dia is going to have 4 minutes to refute the arguments that Team Omar just presented.
So we have Hasuna that's going to be doing part of the rebuttal round. And I would like it if we also got claps, okay? We didn't get clapped on. They got clapped.
Okay, so our first let's say counterclaim to what you said is that people should do it for Allah and not money. But remember, Muslims, we pray for Allah and we also work for a salary. Let's say parents, they raise children and they also earn an income. Islam doesn't let me see what I wrote. Islam doesn't require people to it doesn't require people to choose between serving Allah and supporting their families. That's kind of thing.
Jazakumullah khair, Hasuna. That was a great first point. I think another point to add to what Suleiman rebutted at me in his opening statement, which he shouldn't have done, but I'll let it slide. Um, he was saying that yeah, these big institutions, they're way bigger than Tamkeen. They have all of these employees and whatnot. Tamkeen is a small institution. It has one sheikh, it has a couple of admins, and maybe a couple dozen students within it. So I would like to throw back the question. So what happens when we scale, right? I think if you look at every sort of not just institutional organization, but for example, Microsoft, Amazon, all these companies, they ask themselves, what do we do when we scale? Aren't we looking to scale? Aren't we looking to take on more people? Aren't we looking to encourage the next generation to be good Muslims? So just looking at us as we are now, that's not even the vision of Tamkeen. The vision of Tamkeen is to look 10 years in the future and say, hey, this is what Tamkeeners have done. They've done this, they've done this. And maybe in 30 years, Tamkeeners can take Al-Aqsa back. That's the vision of Tamkeen. So I would just like to throw that question back, because if you're just looking at it as a very minuscule, like, oh, just right now we're this small, minute thing, but the vision of Tamkeen is future. So what do we do when we need more people, when we need more resources, right? Volunteers are great. We need volunteers. We want them. Alhamdulillah, may Allah reward you. But what happens when a volunteer calls and he's like, hey, I have a family issue, or hey, I can't come in because of whatever. You can't, maybe contrary to what Sheikh might say, and working for the sake of Allah, it's very hard to put your foot down on a volunteer and tell them, hey, you're doing this bad, when they're volunteering their time, right? If somebody's being compensated and they're being paid for what they're doing, you can. You definitely can tell them, you need to be here, you need to do this, you need to do that. You have something to say?
Another quick point, adding on to that, we're not arguing that people should volunteer. We're arguing that leadership, you're the president of Tamkeen. Sometimes it's those type of roles shouldn't depend entirely on volunteers, because you never know that they might not show up one day. You never know what might happen.
Round of applause, please.
All right, Team Umar, rebuttal, 4 minutes.
Someone working for the sake of Allah answers to higher standards than a boss clocking for their hours. History shows that most dedicated community work is driven by passion and faith, not a paycheck. And if someone only shows up because they're paid, their commitment to the cause is conditional only to the money, not for the sake of Allah.
And then more Islamic evidence also strongly favors sincere unpaid service. Yeah. There's a lot of Islamic evidence that supports unpaid service to Allah. For example, you can find in Sahih al-Bukhari, the actions are judged by intentions, this is really big. Everyone knows this. And if you're going to Tamkeen and you're saying, oh, I'm getting paid for this, so I'm going to Tamkeen so I can make some money, you're not doing it for you're doing it for the money, and your intention is not for the sake of Allah. And just into yeah, and if you don't have the right intention, then it's not going to be the same amount of you can say sadaqah, I guess, towards Tamkeen. And another piece of evidence in Surah Al-Araf, ayah 96, there's some evidence of a small you can have a small volunteer organization, and it'll have you can do it without pay and volunteering,
Let's say Tamkeen did start paying their volunteers, right? We're eating Costco pizza almost every single week. You think we got enough to pay for every single volunteer?
Um, something I want to say. Yeah, mentioned a specific point. What happens when we scale, right? And how can we make sure the team continues growing as an organization? The question I will push back is if we start offering salaries to people and then people start taking positions within the organization as means of status, all right, or like money that they are earning, then what is the benefit in growing when none of that is sincere for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? If you keep on growing and you're growing this cause, whether it's Tamkeen or any other Islamic organization, and you do it purely out of your own goodwill, purely for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you're not receiving any money for it, you're only just dedicating your time, then the effort is much more sincere and you will be able to grow something much more powerful because you're not getting any worldly benefit. You're doing purely for the akhirah, which is all that matters at the end of the day.
Thank you, Team Rumble, for the rebuttal round. So next, we're going to move into our cross-examination, where we're going to have some more interaction between the teams. So Team Dia is going to ask Team Umar questions and vice versa. And you guys have 4 minutes to do so.
Okay, so the first person that's going to be asking is
So our first question, and I actually want to bring up an ayah from the Quran about this. Can you read this ayah real quick for me?
um, I'm not being paid for this one. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. إنما الصدقات للفقراء والمساكين والعاملين عليها والمؤلفة قلوبهم وفي الرقاب والغارمين وفي سبيل الله وابن السبيل فريضة من الله والله عليم حكيم.
Thank you, Leah. So the exact translation of the ayah is that unless tax is only for the poor and the needy, for those employed to administer it, for those whose hearts are attracted to the faith, for freeing slaves, for those in debt, for a lost cause, and for needy travelers. This is an obligation from Allah, and Allah is all knowing, all wise. So, our question is that I think it was Suleiman, when you were talking about how it ruins, or when you were talking about the sincerity with Allah and how it's like a spiritual bond with Allah. Our question is that if this is the point, then this ayah, what it says, is essentially going against your claim, right?
Have some time to respond.
That's true, but volunteering is a choice. Nobody's forced to volunteer. If someone needs income, they could work a job and they could volunteer whenever they're able to.
Okay, now we're going to ask the question.
I have a question about like all this pay and stuff, especially for Tamkeen. So how, like, if we have a bunch of admins and we're paying them, how are we gonna afford all of this? Like you said, every week. How are we gonna afford all of this? And another key point is if we're paying the admins and we're paying people to do like some service, then we're gonna have to take some pay from the Tamkeeners' parents as well. And then it's gonna be like, oh, they're taking pay from us now. Now we're not gonna join because they're feeling like this used to be like a free nonprofit organization. It used to be something where my kid could just go, he could learn, he could come back, he could have fun with his friends. But now it's like it's more like a school. It's more like a paid organization where I have to give money. It's kind of like a private school now, and it doesn't feel like the same as it was before. So my question is, how are we going to afford all of this? Yeah.
Who'd like to respond?
That's a good point, but I have a question. Like, it's like an answer to your question. Like, if we're not paying them, how do we know that if they're volunteering? Like what Kit said, it's a choice, right? So how do we know they're gonna show up and actually volunteer? It's a choice. You don't have to. So if we're paying them, then like they'll actually show up. For the funding, obviously, like even now, Tim K's doing fundraisers. So what if we have a little more, like a few more years?
Yeah, I think that's a good point. I think the question of where do we grab funds from? I think it can be looked at in a few different ways, right? When you look at corporations and for-profit organizations, you see that they have dedicated specific people that are for strategy. Their whole job is literally nothing but let's figure out a way so that we can get money into this organization, whether it be building products, building programs that we sell to people, building code, whatever it is. But the whole point is we don't have those people right now because we can't point to those people and say, hey, who in Tamkeen, like, why do we have to go and beg people for money every time? Why do we have to go make a fundraiser every time? Isn't it a little bit embarrassing for us as Tamkeen to come up every year? Guys, we need money. Guys, we need money. Guys, we need money. We don't have to do that. If we have somebody dedicated or a small team dedicated to, okay, let's figure out a strategy. We've been Tamkeen, how long has Tamkeen been running for now? Maybe 10 years? 10 years minimum? Why don't we have a team dedicated to, okay, Sheikh, I think Sheikh mentioned a good point on Eid Day, is we had some boys go with Abu Firas to the land, build some tables and sell them. What happened with that? It fell through. Why? Because there's no team that's really compensated for their work that can actually take this and build it up. We had some boys go volunteer some time, build some things. Did we get a single dollar from that? No, we didn't. And so I think everybody needs to be compensated for what they're doing. Not everybody in the sense that every single person, but what I'm saying is if they're bringing value like that, that's why we don't have enough money. I hope that answers the question. Yes.
You'll say over dialogue. You guys want to respond to his answer?
That's a good point, but think about it like this. If Tamkeen does start paying their volunteers, right? What happens if like Tamkeen's budget drops and then their pay just stops?
So building off what Keith said, if our budget drops and the pay drops, then we're gonna have to go around saying, "Oh, we need money," which is not exactly what we want, right? So if we're gonna keep on having to pay them, then we're gonna have to have more money, which means that we're gonna have to ask for money. And if we don't pay them, and if we do pay them, then it's not even gonna be like the same as if we had a volunteer organization, because then every single person is connected to Allah and it's not connected to the money whatsoever. Because then if you're connected to the money, now it's more like a job. If you have people working like as strategic planning for money, it's just like working a job. Now you're like sitting at a desk and you're thinking, how can I make this better? Which obviously that's not a bad thing, but now it's not Tamkeen anymore. Now it's just like it's not for the sake of Allah. Now we're just completely thinking about money. So if we want to think about how we can build Tamkeen as like a Islamic organization instead of like a profit organization, then you have to have volunteers, something that diverts attention from the money and that brings the attention to the sake of Allah.
You want to ask them a question? We'll leave the comments to the end, inshallah. Yes. You want to respond to the arguments at all? Or ask any questions?
Okay, so regarding the intention, I think that's something that it's a person-to-person basis, right? Somebody, the organization overall is run under the sake of Allah, right? Nobody's saying that, oh, if this person gets money, their intention is going to go bad or their intention is going to be spoiled. You can't make that judgment. That's not for you to say, oh, again, we have to look at the question. Which model is more effective and sustainable for Tamkeen as an Islamic organization to be pushed forward? I think you guys are missing that point and you're focusing on, oh, this person's intention. That person's intention, you have to take that and let that be between somebody and Allah. Somebody volunteering could be coming to Tamkeen and their intention could be not for the sake of Allah as well. So them making money it can change it, but that's something that they have to be sincere to the sake of Allah for. Regardless of that, you're saying it like it's something bad for them to make money. Like the ayah that Hasuna read, it says, وَالْعَامِلِينَ عَلَيْهَا. The ones who are giving zakat, they should be compensated for going out and giving zakat. Or collecting the zakat, sorry. So if those people who are doing work for the sake of Allah are being compensated, what's to say that we can't? It was your question.
So I think what we want to say is what makes Tamkeen sustainable and more effective. And we have to really think what is Tamkeen's true goal. And our true goal is to create people who are dedicating their entire life for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, right? So if our system and our structure is volunteer based, so you grow within it and you are able to add more value purely from your from dedicating your own time, right? Not any other benefit that you may gain, like whether it's money or status or power or whatever, which may be influences on you even getting that position in the first place, right? We don't want people to come into the organization and be like, okay, yeah, I can make a couple bucks here or there, right? And then that's how they join Tamkeen. We want people to join purely out of their own goodwill. And then that allows and that builds the environment and the structure ground up from day one. You're doing everything for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And this is how we build people who are ready to dedicate their lives fi sabilillah. If the second you start adding in money, then it can corrupt you, and the people you get in the door won't even be on that same wavelength.
What do you say about the Quran? You didn't really answer my question because I'm directly relating what Hasuna read, which is a verse from the Quran, which is coming from Allah, which is talking about the people who are collecting zakat. So how do you respond to the Quran ayah, which is coming from Allah? So how do you respond to that ayah that's saying those people can be compensated for their work? Because you're claiming that money automatically spoils their intention, but Allah here is telling you that they can be compensated.
I'm not saying it automatically spoils the intention. What I'm saying is we want to have people who are willing to do work who are without being compensated in the first place. Because we want people to be dedicating their entire life, every single thing they do for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
Keep pressuring him. It is not covered with the egg. Keep sneaking around.
That's
Keep pressuring
my
him.
point. Yeah. Jeff, you're on my side.
Absolutely not. But it's clear he's not responding to your question.
Let's get some class.
The Quran encourages doing good deeds sincerely for the sake of Allah and not seeking worldly rewards for every act of service. The highest intention is to help because it is right and because Allah rewards good deeds. The issue isn't whether people can receive both. The question is whether volunteers should be paid. Volunteering is traditionally an act of service given freely. If payment becomes expected, it changes the relationship from volunteering to employment.
Question. You were answering my question. Okay, sorry. Can you say it again? Because can you please raise your voice again, please? Sit up straight.
The issue isn't whether people can receive both. The question is whether volunteers should be paid. Volunteering is traditionally an act of service given freely. If payment becomes expected, it changes the relationship from volunteering to employment. Are you happy?
Okay, let's avoid confrontational attitude. Let's give him a okay, go ahead.
I got a really good point here. So if we include money into this, like all this pay and stuff, then we're living in a capitalist society right now, and everything that we do is all based on money. The entire point of this Western civilization is make money, be happy. But the entire point of the Islamic perspective is to worship Allah. And one ayah that mentions that is Surah Al-Bayyinah, ayah 5. It says, they were not commanded except to worship Allah, be sincere to Him in religion, and that is the upright religion. So if you include money into this, that's not gonna be like extremely sincere to Allah and His like service.
Yeah, so we really have to think about where are we living right now? So all of our influences everywhere we go is telling us to make money and be selfish and be more materialistic, which is why having an organization like Tamkeen, which goes completely against that, is so important because then we build those values of not caring about the dunya within these people. If we start paying people money, then we are encouraging those values that may be present within people, telling people, yeah, I should be doing things for money. And that the only way or the only time I can ever work for the deen is also if I make money because that's the only way it's worth it, which is we're completely against.
All right, Team Dia, do you guys want to respond to their comment?
I want to respond to what say America. If you said that Tamkeen's a volunteer-based model and that they shouldn't get paid, there's other like messages out there that are paying people to do work. So why would they come work at Tamkeen if it's for free if they can go get paid to work at like a different mission?
Okay. Any more additions from this side?
Yes, I actually have another question. So I'm gonna think of it like, let's say a journalist, right? They don't make a lot of money, but let's say one of their papers goes viral, they make a lot of money. So let me say it this way. So Sheikh, you always talk about the story of this, like like this army, right? They haven't had water for days and they come across a river. The leader says, I don't know, like 3 sips per person. So like you can only take 3 sips, right? And people went crazy on the river. Well, a small portion, like they like did what the leader said. I forgot what the name was or something.
Perfected here, just one hand.
Thank you. Yeah, exactly. So that small portion, right? It was quality over quantity. So let's say we start compensating people. It gives them responsibilities and it lets them do something they can do. And it's the same thing with sort of Tauba debt collectors, or yeah, they should be compensated. The Umar Siddiqui knows it's correct and he can't answer it because it's the word of Allah.
Okay, responses, please.
Before my response, I really have to ask them something. Why do you guys keep like asking us questions? You haven't responded to the past two responses we gave you guys. No, you gave us a question.
What can you repeat the question you wanted to ask them, and then I'll make them answer.
How do you ensure that people are volunteering out of genuine care rather than just a paycheck?
Wait. Yeah, I'm sorry, you brought up a point last time. Why would someone volunteer at Tamkeen when they could get paid? Well, that's exactly the point we're making, right? Why are we saying the only way you can work for someone is by getting paid? Well, the only way to work for the sake of Allah is by getting paid. You're reinforcing the values that society is teaching people, that you should only do things if you make money from it, which we don't want to teach people. You should do things if it benefits your akhirah, whether you get paid or not, because that is all that matters. Nothing in the dunya, not a single paycheck that you may receive.
Okay. Can the team Dia respond to Rokia's question? And also, if you want to have comments for Omar's
Okay, real quick. Sorry, I was paying attention. Say it again. Say it one more time.
How would you ensure that people are volunteering out of genuine care rather than just a paycheck?
So I would ask the question, why does the genuine care matter if the work is getting done? So if I have a company and I need a work done, I don't care if this guy's coming and saying, you know what, I care about this company. I love it so much. I would rather get the guy that's going to do the work and saying, you know, I don't really care about this company, but I'm going to do it, rather than the guy who's coming and smiling at me and saying, hey, I'm going to do the work. I love you guys. And then when it comes down to it, he's gone. Okay. So I don't think it does matter. I don't think his genuine intention in that regard matters. And I think that goes into what Ahmad is saying, right? Like, you're talking about our society being capitalistic. And I think this is what Brother Fattah was talking about. Yeah, that's how did you get here today? You got here today by a car. It required money. You got here by a car that you had to put gas in, unless it's electric, which you shouldn't have that, right? But regardless, you put gas in that car to get here. That required money. The whole idea of should we want to build a generation that can do something or benefit Nobody's saying volunteers can't come and work. We're not saying that. Volunteers can come into the community. I'm saying we pick specialized people who come into the organization that need to be paid. For example, when we talk about the land we've had it for the past 3-4 years. The land, alhamdulillah, the work has been done. It's being shaped, but how much more could the land have been developed if we actually hired on, actually brought people who are construction workers to come develop it, right? We wouldn't have leaks in our roofs. We wouldn't have moldy, wet, stinky carpets that nobody wants to go in and smell. Doesn't that hinder our organization? Doesn't that hinder the halaqah which is being performed for the sake of Allah? Doesn't that hinder the performance of the halaqah? So we have to be realistic in what we're doing. And I think they attributed earlier perfectly to what we said here. If we had people being, and I don't think we should, because that's a simple task. People should be coming here early, like yourself, and coming and doing a task, right? But if those people were being paid, they would have been here on time and done it. And so people coming and listening to the halaqah, that's going to be for the sake of Allah. Nobody's saying those people coming and listening should be paid. But people that are doing specialized work, they should be paid.
Okay, thank you for the response. Now we're going to move on to the closing statements and then Q&A from the crowd. And then you want to hear from Sheikh after that for a few minutes as well.
So for a closing statement, I feel like the team should still stay as a volunteer-based system because it increases intention, it increases the sincerity to Allah, and it kind of and there's also like a bunch of examples of volunteers, successful mosques, charities, community groups, all that stuff that run like completely off volunteers. And I feel like the team should still stay.
Closing statements. Rebuttals are over.
And
There you go. There you go. There you go.
So like earlier when you were answering my question, you said you didn't care what happened if the work was done, right? But for example, I don't really see you at the land, but when me and Muhammad
Okay, let's keep this to closing statements and not rebuttals. So explain your final verdict, your final argument.
I still do think Tamkeen should be volunteer based because yeah.
Okay, Omar, you want to say anything else?
And last thing I want to mention, it's sort of a rebuttal, but I'll say in my closing statement. What Dia just mentioned about like, yeah, we should have paid professionals, whatever, and help develop the organization. Okay, that's not a paid compensation based model. That is bringing an outside expert. When we're talking about the paid compensation model, we're talking about the active volunteers and in the daily running of everything. Yeah. So that's as nothing. So the point you made has nothing to do with.
Okay, no more rebuttals. Final comments. Final comments.
For my closing statement, I do think Tamkeen should be volunteer based only because if they weren't, if service becomes a reason for people to serve, they're volunteers. Wait, pause. Wait, if payment becomes reason, people serve, they're employees. If service becomes the reason people serve, they are volunteers. That's why Tamkeen volunteers should not be paid.
Okay, Jazakallah khair. Everyone give a round of applause to King Omar. Okay, closing statements from Team Diat. Shh, quiet. Closing statements from Team Diat.
Our closing statement is we think that even they don't our volunteers, like yeah, they're getting paid, but or they're not getting paid. But they should be at least paid minimum wage because in this society, money is everything. You need money to get here, you need money to buy basic needs. They should be paid at least minimum wage. So, like, they need it.
okay, so I guess I'll just talk about off of Absal's closing statement. But yeah, we do live in a society where money is everything, and people have needs. Same thing with the debt collectors that you guys did really bad trying to avoid it. So we believe that yes, people should be compensated for what they do, and that money matters in society.
Any other statements, closing statements?
So yeah, I really want to rebuttal him because he threw in a
No
last
rebuttals.
jab on
No
purpose,
rebuttals.
and he knows I'm itching a little bit, but that's okay. Sorry, I keep going back to it because I think it's so important, and I think this side has been missing the picture that's right in front of them the whole time. Which model is more effective and sustainable for Tamkeen as an Islamic organization? You keep trying to throw in and I think their biggest point was the intention part, and that we don't want to build a generation that's being compensated for what they do for the sake of Allah. And I think that missed the whole point of which one is more effective. Which one is more effective and sustainable? If I ask you, forget about working for the sake of Allah, which organization, just any regular organization, is more effective and sustainable for this organization? A volunteer-based model or a paid compensation-based model? Okay, that's fine. That's fine. But that doesn't take away. Look, okay, we brought up the points. You couldn't answer the point where we said the zakat collectors. That comes back to the Islamic organization part, is that them being paid, it's not haram. Some people, they might have their opinions. They might have different an opinion on that. But people can be paid for the work that they do. Whether it's for the sake of Allah or for money, that's up to them. What I'm saying is that when they are paid, things get done. And there is no holes in the narrative, things get done. Jazakumullah khair.
All right, Jazakallah khair, everyone. Round of applause for Team Dia, and also round of applause for Team Ahmed as well. So inshallah, now we want some of the audience members Q&As to each team. If there's any questions, please raise your hand. I think Brother Taslim, you're first.
Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam.
Jazakallah khair. Very good debate. Very good points from both sides. I think few of the participants really need to understand what is a definition of a volunteer. A volunteer does not mean I will do if I feel like it. I will do it if I get compensated for. I'll do it whenever I have time to do it, when I have nothing else to do it. When you sign up for a position or an action, you are supposed to take care of it, regardless whether you're getting paid or you're not getting paid, because you signed up for it. You gave your word for it. And I would like to bring the attention of everybody to the total topic of this debate today. Which model is more effective and sustainable for Tamkeen as an Islamic organization? Islamic organization is the key part. The most debate was whether it's sustainable or not sustainable. So we all need to just stay reminded of what is the objective, what is the title of this debate. So all the comments that and arguments you make should really reflect the entire objective here. Effective model, sustainable for an Islamic organization. A couple of points. Some people are really confused what volunteer means. So that was my first point. That does not mean that you just do it when you feel like it or when you have nothing else to do it, that you're going to take care of it. When you sign up for it, you sign up for it. And the argument somebody made that, well, somebody's volunteer and says, oh, something happened to my family, I cannot do it. That situation can happen to the person who's getting paid as well. I see it at work all the time. And I've been working only for 32 years of my life. Okay, professional work. So this thing happens. So you cannot deny it. The last minute things can always happen. Accidents always happen. And we need to have a backup plan for that. That's how the successful organizations always have a backup plan. Like the Sheikh had his audio system with him. He didn't rely on the audio system of this masjid. So this is what is called a backup program and plan, and you work with that. Now, I think the weakest point was from this side, the volunteers. I'm gonna look at what happened this morning. Right? Do I need to remind everybody what happened this morning? I hope not. So when you sign up for something, you are responsible for it. You have to take it seriously, and you have to deliver. whether you're getting paid or you're not getting paid. I have my own 501c nonprofit organization, and I see it every day. How people think that because they are volunteering, they have to do nothing. Or whenever they have nothing else to do, they will do something for it. So I really don't subscribe to that concept. I think this is a lack of understanding and it is a lack of professionalism. When you sign up for something, you don't deliver. I did not say that.
Just
I'm
raise-
heavily inclined towards this, and I would like to bring the first thing, إِنَّمَا الْأَعْمَالُ بِالنِّيَّاتِ. This is the very first hadith in Sahih al-Bukhari and Riyadh al-Salihin and many other books for a reason, because it really does matter what is your intention. And I agree with their point that, when you start paying people, it brings the different kind of people, okay? And their intentions are obviously, most of the time, perhaps, is the money. It's not to say that the volunteer cannot be a person who just wants to be fame, right? The person could be after the fame. So we really don't know what the true intention is, but can we systemically avoid the people who are coming after the money? And that is, being a volunteer-based organization, you can do that. Now, having said that, is there any opportunity to pay for a specialized job or seek professional help from outside to get things done, which is going to be more sustainable, perhaps even cheaper in the longer run? I think that is probably an option. And going back to one point that you mentioned about the ayah from the Quran, by the way, very good example, very good counterpoint about the collecting of the zakah. But the collection of the zakah, that was for the Islamic system. That is the duty of the state. We don't have one state right now. If there was an Islamic state, probably none of us will be here. So keep that in mind. That model is gonna work when we have a khilafah, when we have an Islamic state. Then everything will make sense because everybody knows what is the priority, what needs to take place first, right? Here in this country, in this area, Muslim are 1.1% of the population of this country. This country is the most capitalist in nature in the entire face of the earth. So when you start following, then basically this country has been successful painting you and making you a capitalist in nature than the otherwise. Jazakallah khair.
Jazakallah khair, round of applause. I just want to give like maybe 15, 30 seconds. Anyone who wants to respond on the stage? Any comments from the stage? Okay, we'll go with the next person.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. What's the young brother's name over here? You told me your name like 4 times. Please forgive me. Absab. Okay. You asked a question to the other team that I think was a very important question. You asked the question, when somebody's volunteering, how do we know that they're going to do the work? And I think it's a really important question because it's a very revealing question. It's a very revealing question in that this is something that is in the collective conscious of Muslims now. When someone is volunteering, how do I know that they're going to be effective at their job or even do their job? Right? And when they volunteer, if they're doing it for the sake of Allah, there was a time where when someone said for the sake of Allah was much more valuable than any price you can put on it. When someone said for the sake of Allah, it put rest in the people's hearts because they knew that that man was going to honor what he said because he used Allah in his statement. And so I think that the implication of that question is a very important one. That you've asked that question, you have to think about how many other people have potentially asked that question. And if that question is in the hearts of many Muslims, then like Sheikh Taslim said that America has done a better job at giving da'wah to you and putting capitalism in your hearts than you have bringing da'wah to this place. So I think that's something that we should reflect on each all the time.
Jazakallah khair. I'm just gonna remind everyone that we only have 2 more minutes, inshallah, for this Q&A, and then we want to hear from Sheikh for 2 minutes. Assalamu alaikum. So because I know Sheikh which side he is, and I hope he's gonna reply on that. Couple of things. There's a couple of questions came here and there, but there's not a lot of answers. First, he asked one of the DIA team asked, "Can you give me please one organization that it's actually Islamic organization work fully volunteers, like fully volunteers, not Tamkeen?" One of the answers I heard from I think Hamid Suleiman, he said, "So what happened if we actually start paying people and um, suddenly we don't have money? So what should we do? Should we just start asking people for money?" But that's exactly what we are doing right now. We are asking people for money every single day. Morning, can we please every single time we have to come to like what our expenses over here? Food. We have pizza, which is the cheapest thing. We have always getting. But the thing is, are we always? Do we have always to do that? So because I don't want to say a lot of stuff. I don't have a lot of time. So what is the solution? My solution is not fully volunteers, fully the people are like the people that they are teaching in Turkey, fully working for like all of them are getting paid or volunteered mix. Like that's a lot of this. Even that like a globally one, even let's say Scott, I will give a example. And like in my country, Jordan, there's something called Jama'at al Quran Kareem. There's an organization just for teaching Quran. Like what is the best organized like what is more than this? Like it's just teach Quran. Do you think that it's 100% run on people or parents' money? It's not gonna work, and it will never. There's some people should get paid to know. Okay, it started from the 60s. It's until now. It's working. And how many centers around Jordan? 200. In my city, there is like more than 20. In every single area, there's like just a center for teaching Quran. But how did we do that? How did they do that? By getting paid, just some of them getting paid for people. One of the questions said, where should we get the money? We have assets. First, we can do membership. It's fine if we, I think, and I believe, if we did like maybe a $25 per, maybe per month. We can absolutely think about it more, but like $25 for kids per month is literally nothing. That's number one. Two, we have land. We can, there's a lot of people, opportunities we can do in the land that make or get us some money. Last point, one of the things that table just like we had an idea before with making tables to give money. So are you saying that you're gonna call people to make tables and waste their time? You're not gonna waste their time. Absolutely, they are actually working for the sake of Allah. But think about it. They're gonna make tables, and they are not getting a penny out of it. It's work. It is time. It is effort, and they are not getting a penny. All of it is going for Tamkeen. Absolutely, for the sake of Allah, it is beautiful, but things not gonna happen like this. Last example is the Hajj. What is the best than that? Hajj. Can you imagine or like can you imagine Al Hajj is 100% voluntarily? All of these people are not getting paid. There's no way you can make the season of Hajj succeed without paying some people. Volunteers are necessary, but not all of them. Thank you. Okay, Jazakallah khair, Amjad. Unfortunately, we're out of time for the boys section. I want to pass it over to the girls side, and then we want to hear from our sheikh definitely. Can you please hand it over to anybody that wants to speak?
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I would like to add something. MashaAllah, I'm new observing Tamkeen. I just would like to add that there is a one non-Islamic organization. I believe it will be not very similar have you heard Toastmaster International? So the success of Toastmaster International often studied because it helps build international leadership brand, which heavily rely on volunteers. So the reason why is because many people join for personal growth. Mashallah, I'm seeing all of this. Everyone is doing the best to guide the youth, the kids with all these skills. Also, leadership. It's good to teach kids leadership skills and also for those volunteers who sacrifice their time here. I'm sure. I'm sure they gain, yeah, they gain confidence, leadership skills, speaking skills. So I just like also to remind that they that human also motivated more than by money. Yes, we do need money, of course. But I just like to add that, and of course, it we can apply in our organization as well. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anyone else from the sister side?
It's on. I don't think it's on. Is it? Is
Just
it?
put the mic closer to your mouth, please.
I feel like a volunteer-based model is better in a way because like we would have more diversity. We have diversity in Tamkeen mainly because everyone can come together and it's not just like money that if it oh sorry if it was like more of a compensation based model that means like only a specific type of people would be able to come to Tamkeen because only a specific type of people would be able to like spend that much money in Tamkeen. And if it was like and like it would only be a group of people to be able to come. A volunteer-based model has more of the Muslim Ummah to come together because like everyone can come and it's like everyone can benefit from it. And when they realize more, it's more by diversity, then more people would come to that. Okay.
Thank you very much. Let's get one more comment from the women's section, and then inshallah we want to hear from our chef.
I would like to say that a volunteer-based model can be successful. And based off my own knowledge, I could be wrong about this, but based off my knowledge, Ikhwan Muslimin was completely volunteer-based, and we can see very easily that they were very successful. They were able to go to Palestine and actually fight for the sake of Muslims without having to pay people to do it. And we do know in Islam, jihad is also not something that is paid for. It's something that you have to do voluntarily. And every single, all of the best moments in Islam are from people who are doing things for the sake of Allah and who are using their jihad to make something successful. So, yeah.
Okay, thank you very much for the point. Unfortunately, I would love to continue, but we're out of time, so we want to hear from our chef.
Is this microphone working or is it the voice of the girls is not working? First of all, يا شباب, بارك الله فيكم. This is wallahi a very important topic, one of the most important topics. Whenever I do something for the sake of Allah, should I be expecting to be paid back or not? This is one of the most important topics that we can keep debating for a month. Because this is, if I do something for the sake of Allah, is it okay to be compensated or not? Before ya Shabab, anything as you have seen, I do not see anyone other than me and Amjad who were taking notes during the debate so that we respond to topics. I want to start by thanking everyone who participated in the debate from our panelists over here or even from the audience. Jazakumullah khair ya shabab. You did an amazing job. You, wallahi, I enjoyed everything that you have done. Okay. Having said this, let me start the roasting session. And take it easy, ya shabab, because you know how much I love all of you. And how much, ya shabab, I want to make sure you are going to be the future ambassadors for the deen. And if you do not debate the right way, sometimes, ya shabab, someone would have the wrong argument, but because they are vocal, they win the debate. And actually, debate clubs are dangerous because someone may be vocal, but he is saying the wrong argument, and then he would change the public. Later in the day, you will hear the girls announcing for a debate club for the girls. And I was telling them, you can never start this debate club unless you know the opinion, the Shari opinion, because girls debating with each other in a debate club, actually they can put a lot of trash in the minds of girls if there is not someone who would stop them and say, this is the Shari rule, and he would debate with them the right way. Sounds good? Even a shabab, when we prepare you for debates, I want to make sure even when we prepare you, how you hold the microphone while you are talking. Do you see, a shabab, there are different types of microphones. This static microphone, it has to be very close to your mouth. This type of microphones, it is designed, it does not catch the surrounding noise. So if I get it a little bit further, you will hear nothing from the speaker. It has to be this way. And if people are not listening to you, say whatever you want to say, it will go to trash. So even understanding the microphone, you will see, Shabab, as I'm talking, I am waving with the hand that does not have the microphone. It comes by training. But if I get excited and I keep waving with the hand that has the microphone, you will hear nothing. So the hand that's holding the microphone, it is over here. Fix it, and I am waving with the other hand. And even the tone of the voice. You could hear the voice of Diya, for example, through the speakers. But whenever some of the people who have been talking more specifically from the girl side, you can barely hear anything. So the level, the volume, it has to be adjusted. Moreover, ya shabab, there are few points regarding the style of debates. Sulaiman, never ever read from a phone whenever you are debating or whenever you are giving khutbah. It is going to be a horrible educational system if I cannot say something from the top of my head and I need to read. Even a shabab, those who give Jumu'ah khutbah and they are reading from a piece of paper, this is horrible. You cannot say some khutbah from the top of your head. When we were teaching at the university and they were giving us how to give a good class, they said, if you go and keep reading your speech, you are a useless speaker. The only time they recommend you to read from a paper to give more credibility is whenever you mention a number. So people know that the number, it is written and it is authentic and you are not making it up from the top of your head. So when to read from a paper is only one. And this happened in the year. This is when you show people my information is authentic, is documented. But I read from the phone, no. Other thing, ya shabab, while you are debating, and this is why we want to take the concept of debate club seriously, so we lift up your quality. Sometimes the shabab, they are talking about something, and the people, the other team is not responding to what they have said. Everyone, he has few words written on their phone, and they are coming to throw up these words in our faces. No, Habibi, this is not the debate. It is not having it prepared on your phone, few things, and you throw up in their faces. You have to address what they are saying. For example, whenever Hasuna made the sentence at the very beginning, parents raise up the kids, but they also make money. Do your parents get paid to raise you up? Or are they making money from somewhere else to feed you? Do your parents have a box next to the fridge that you have to put coins every time before you open the fridge? Why no one of this useless team responded
to Hasuna. Hasuna made a horrible sentence, but none of you roasted him on the spot. Every one of you had few words on his phone and you just want to throw them up. No, you want to be taking notes of every piece of garbage Hasuna says, and then you hold him accountable for whatever he has said. This is how you debate, ya shabab. And we are, did Wakia go to sleep? Ah, here he is. Sorry, as I'm getting older, I cannot, I do not have the full range of motion. So this is how, ya shabab, you prepare yourself. Now we are debating, and alhamdulillah, we are all brothers over here. But in the future, it is the dignity of your deen may depend on how you are going to be debating. طيب. This is why you have to take notes and you have to refute what they are saying, not to be speaking uh, in a different topic. Some of you, Shabab, you were not prepared for the debate. I'm very upset from one thing. How come you debate and no one of you mentioned this is the opinion of Imam Malik, this is the opinion of Abu Hanifa? It is very bad, very disappointing that every one of you is just mentioning their intuition without researching what is the opinion of the different madhabs shar'i wise. Does Imam Abu Hanifa, for example, allow people to be compensated to teach Quran? What about Shafi'i? Why didn't I have never heard of those fiqh madhab? All I heard is Sheikh Sulaiman said, Sheikh Hasuna said, Sheikh Absar said. Where are the research and study from our madhabs? You are not prepared for the debate. Imagine you sit in front of a non-Muslim and then he comes and say, but here in your books, Imam Abu Hanifa said such and such. And you have never read what Abu Hanifa said in the topic you are debating. Did Abu Hanifa allow teachers to take money for the Quran? You don't know. So how come you debate and you are not prepared? And your two coaches, why didn't you prepare them? Another point over here. For example, why you did not, Ya Umar, respond to the ayah Diya mentioned? And even the ayah was initially mentioned by Hasuna, but he didn't know where to use the ayah for. So, innama sadaqat, the obligatory sadaqat or zakah, Allah made in the Quran 8 different ways where you can spend your zakah. One of them that you did not mention and you don't know why you are using the ayah, وَالْعَامِلِينَ عَلَيْهَا. So if people are collecting the zakah, we can compensate them from the money of zakah. Correct? So why didn't you respond back to Diya and tell him, but we are not collecting zakah, Habibi? Who gave you the permission to generalize the concept of zakah? Those who collect zakah, we can compensate them from the zakah. Who gave you the permission to generalize this to a sheikh teaching people Quran? And he would be stretching his hand and asking them for money. Who gave you the permission to say this case is equivalent to that case? If you go and collect zakah, we can give you part of the zakah. But if you are teaching Quran, I do not see the same ayah would apply. If you are volunteering for your ummah, who gave you the permission to measure the same situation here and there? Give me your shar'i dalil. You are the one who is supposed to give me the shar'i dalil. And also, there is difference between permissibility. Something is permissible, it doesn't mean that you have to do it. If there is, and this is where the opinions of the four madhahib, they have debating the issue. You will find, for example, Abu Hanifa, you can never ever teach Quran and take money. Al-Shafi'i, he made it permissible. And if you look at this, even if you take the money, what are the conditions and what is the need to take the money? And how much money are you allowed to take? And if you take the money,
You take it from the ruler or you take it from the student that you are teaching him. These are all discussed between fuqaha. For sure يا شباب, I am coming from the school and what my sheikh has taught me, لا تبتغى الدنيا بما يبتغى به وجه الله. You are not supposed to seek dunya with whatever you are supposed to seek the pleasure of Allah with. My sheikh never took any money. Even when he was invited somewhere else, he would pay for the expenses of his trip out of his own pocket. This is my sheikh, okay? So if you ask for examples for people who used to do whatever they do and take no money, they failed to give you a response. And they said the only organization that is volunteer-based model is Tamkeen. No, Habibi, we have to frame it the right way. Because now we are in a corrupted time, maybe the examples are less. But if you look at the old days, when you read Quran, you read from which narration? Hafsa عن عاصم. What is his title? Al-Bazzaz. He had a job, Bazzaz, making bazza, which is the suit. He was tailoring, the suits and making his own money. And he was not stretching his hand. And he is the one, the chain of narration of Quran came through. Abu Hanifa, he had his own business. And he was never asking people for money. Whenever we say Sheikh Zayyad, he is selling zayt, oil. No, the examples are more than you can ever imagine. And if we are not able to teach people, commit and work for the sake of Allah. If you are paid by Allah, you have to be more committed than your work. I know many of you, Shabab, once you get a minimum wage job and they tell you you have to be at 6 a.m. here, you will wake and be there at 6 a.m. And I had a son who used to do this. But if it is for Fajr Salah, if I give them money to come to Fajr Salah, then I failed to raise Aqidah in them. If we will end up paying everybody, then we failed. That's it. We failed to put the aqidah in you that whenever you are doing something for the sake of Allah, I do it better than whenever I'm being paid. If we raise the aqidah that Allah will give me the treasures of better than everything in dunya, if I go to Salatul Fajr, everybody will go to Salatul Fajr. But if we start, okay, get paid, get paid, get paid, let me tell you something. I know what is being said about sheikhs who ask for money. Kids, they come and tell me the sheikh lost the respect from the time they started to stretch their hand to students. Kids, and more specifically, the parents, and more specifically, the moms. They started to treat, and this is what the mashayikh tell me. They are being treated as slaves because people, they give them the money. But if the sheikh is not stretching his hand, he can yell to whomever he is willing to yell. And if you don't want to come to the halaqah, go away. But now the sheikh has to be nice to the student. So the student continues to come and dad or mom continue to pay. And this is why the generation is garbage. The respect to the sheikh is being lost. He is working for me. And the mom will tell the sheikh, hey sheikh, could you please teach my son such and such and such and tell him such and such fiqhi opinion. The mom is altering the fatwa of the sheikh because she is paying him. And then after this, and hey sheikh, can you sweep the floor of my apartment after you are done teaching the kids? You are being paid. Do you know? قال لو شئت لاتخذت عليه أجرا in Surah Al-Kahf. If you want, you may take money for it. What is the following ayah? هذا فراق بيني وبينك. This is separation between you and me. Once money comes, this is separation between. It depends. It depends. It depends. I know what you mean, but it depends. There is actually this team you lost or you did not mention one of the most supporting argument from your side. Did Abu Bakr as-Siddiq radiallahu anhu take money from Baytul Mal when he became a Khalifa? Yes or no? And how much money he took? And I feel upset that none of you talked about this. Okay? But I will not respond because you have been useless. Uh, Whenever you mention the case of boy making the tables with Abu Faras in the land, you are telling me they are not going over there because they are not being paid. Or maybe they are, why you are making the assumption? Maybe because they have lack of aqidah. They have lack of iman. Maybe because those kids, they are drowning in fun, fun, fun. And if there is no fun, they do not do anything. Is it only those boys who do not go and work to Abu Firas because there is no money? Do they, for example, sit and memorize the Quran? Do they study fiqh and aqidah? But tell them, let's go with lime scooters or let's go soccer. All of them will run and all of them will wake up early. If we end up paying them money to come to the land, we are not solving the problem. We are silencing the problem. Just you will get some people. Yes, you are silencing the problem. Let me tell you something here, an analogy. If you see people, they do not go to the masjid. Not that many people going to the masjid. So to bring people to come to the masjid, we decided instead of having the imam, we have a belly dancer at the front making her show. You will get a lot of people and you can claim, Alhamdulillah, I solved the problem of the lack of attendance. Yes, you solved the problem of lack of attendance, but you made another thing that is more horrible. Same thing. If you pay people, yes, people will go to the land, but you did not solve the problem. You silenced the problem by making another bigger problem that I do not work for the sake of Allah unless I get paid. For you, Amjad, there is also the concept of waqf. It has been going all the time, and I have no time to go in details. But people can establish business, not selling to our community, selling to the public and funding those things. It can happen. And in some time, we can talk about, the concept of waqf. For Hajj, can it run on volunteers? Absolutely. I was begging the ministry over there to me and other people to do the technology of Hajj that they are announcing for free. And now they said no, because there are some people over there, they want to make it business and they take some of the money. But are there volunteers willing to help? I have seen a lot of people who are way qualified than the ones that we are using as of now, and they did not ask for a single penny. Absolutely, absolutely. And this is the right way to run, and this is how it was running. In the old days, it was more than this. It was people paying money to feed the Hujjaj. It is not only getting money to provide the service. It was not only free. You go there and there was many tikiyas that you go eat and drink. Whenever you encourage people to donate for the sake of Allah, you get more than the business. Uh, I don't know. Let me stop over here, ya Shabab, because of the time. This topic is very important, but we want to stay on schedule. So where is our MC? Did he go sleep? No, no, no. That's enough, Amjad. Well, this is. No, if you get paid, the intention may be corrupted or it may not be corrupted. It depends. It depends. But it is more likely that the intention will be corrupted if money is involved. I can tell you in some of our local masjids, the rich big masjids, I can tell you how the imams are fighting who is going to be the first imam and who is going to be the assistant imam.
and how the assistant or whatever, they make problems to the big imam, so they take their position. Once money is involved, everything goes bad. May Allah protect us. Work يا شباب for the sake of Allah. لا تبتغى الدنيا بما يبتغى به وجه الله. Dunya is not supposed to be sought with whatever you seek the pleasure of Allah with. MC, what are you?
Okay, Jazakallah khair. Can we get a round of applause for our debaters? Okay, just give us a few minutes. Inshallah, we'll clear the area. We'll get the area back up. Just hang tight for a few minutes. We'll just have a short break, inshallah, before we move on. So please use the bathroom if you need to. We'll resume at 12:15, inshallah. Now, this is a short break time. We're going to resume at 12:15 in 3 minutes.
Anybody, which group they are going to be judging? Yeah,
All right, we have 1 minute. Can we get everyone back to their seats? Please, everyone back to the seats. Everyone, please take a seat. We have 1 more minute until we resume. I'm gonna have speeches now. Maximum volume, by the way. Is this the maximum volume, by the way? I feel like it's a little quiet.
These are the two.
Test. Okay, are we missing a lot of people? Where's all the boys? Is any admin downstairs and looking for boys? Or Yassine Morgan and those guys? You are old enough to go look for help. Yeah, go help them. Look for boys. We're missing a lot of people. Ahmed, I didn't say you can leave. Ahmed, come back. Okay, we will be resuming. We're missing a lot of people. Okay, inshallah, we're gonna continue. I know we're missing people, but inshallah, once they filter in. Okay, can I get your attention, please, again? So, next up, we have introducing the podcast project and girls debate club, presented by our review team. Let's give a round of applause for the review team.
Assalamualaikum, everyone. To start with the debate club, as we just had the debate, we know that we have it every single year, and it's one of the big parts of our conference. And we wanted to make it so that it's not just during the conference; other people can also participate in it and be able to engage in debates and practice it. So I'm not gonna fully introduce it because this is gonna be on the girl side. If the debate club is going to be on the girls' side. If the boys want a debate club, then they're gonna have to make themselves. So the girls, it's starting by Rueda. She couldn't make it today, so I'm not fully presenting it and talking about it. But soon, inshallah, it will be announced the next couple of weeks, and we'll be starting to collect people and figure out what times work for everyone, so we can start having our debates. And the second thing is a podcast project. Earlier in the year, Sheikh met with someone he's a journalist for Al Jazeera, I believe, or he used to be. And he has this very big platform on YouTube where he talks about many different topics regarding the Ummah. And earlier in the year, Sheikh had a podcast that he made with him discussing Tamkeen specifically and the youth, today's youth. So we wanted to continue that podcast and allow for other people to also talk about whatever they want to talk about. We're opening the floor first for authors because we know that they have fully developed their ideas through the articles that they have written, and we welcome them to engage in these podcasts with somebody else to discuss or a group of people. And also, if someone doesn't want to write an article but they want to talk about it, as long as they have a fully outlined and organized idea, we can accommodate for it. And yeah, that's our introduction for both of those.
Okay, thank you. Round of applause. I'll just keep the clicker on this side. They have the laptop. Yeah, yeah. Okay, give a few seconds. Right now. Anybody have any podcast ideas you want to see? Tamkeeners what? Tamkeen FC podcast? Yes, Zain. Podcast about the quiz? Okay. Raise your hand if you're actually watching the podcast videos. Good. We won't be able to watch it more. They're very professionally edited and produced.
I did not watch them yet.
Okay.
Well, I'm not joking. I did not watch them myself.
Okay, no, it's all right. You're part of it. Yes, yes, correct, correct. All right, we're going to move on. Let's move on to our rapid fire speeches, part one. So we will start with embracing hijab and embracing myself by the girls. All right, so we're moving on. Okay, our next article, give a big round of applause. Contemplating the Quran by Nabil. Please join me on the stage, or whatever this area is. 10 minutes. Give him the confidence.
He has only two hands, one for the microphone, one for the phone.
This is good this time. The first part is the importance of the Quran. The first part is the importance of the Quran to the youth. So if you look at every successful Khilafah, like the Ottomans or like the Umayyads, they all see like they value the Quran greatly in their youth, and they all memorized Hadith and the Quran a lot. This is because of this, they like grew up into real Muslim men that could make Khilafahs and could continue Muslim Khilafahs. All right. At the time of the Prophet, peace be upon him, the companions were very connected to the Quran. They they, were- they, they were very connected to the Quran. This is an issue with the Ummah today. They often held an ayah and kept like repeating it and try to get deep meaning from the Quran. Go next. All right. This is one of the ayahs from. This is one of the ayahs from the Quran. It's called after the Bull Quran. In this ayah, Allah is addressing the disbelievers. He's telling them, do they not reflect upon the Quran? So just think about how much Allah wants us to do the Quran, how much He wants Muslims to contemplate in the Quran, how much He wants them to be connected to it. Okay. This is another. وقد بات جماعة من السلف يتلون آية واحدة يدبرونها ويردونها إلى الصباح. This is a saying. So Imam Nawawi states a group among the Salaf would spend the night reciting a single verse, reflecting upon it, and repeating it until the morning. So yeah, so basically this ayah, so the Salaf would hold on to an ayah, like ayah, keep repeating it, try to get like a very deep meaning from it till the morning. And I don't really see that much people doing this. So and I see people trying like reading a lot of Quran, but not really stick like getting deep meaning from one ayah. So yeah. الآية قرأت آية بتفكر وتفهم خير من أو saying. So Ibn al-Qayyim states the قراءة آية بتفكر وتفهم خير من قراءة ختمة لغاية تدبر وتفهم. Reading one ayah verse with contemplation and understanding is better than reading a whole khatma, one complete reading of the Quran without contemplation and understanding. This again like reinforces the idea that you should not read the Quran mindlessly because you're not really getting that much like you're not getting that much meaning and things you can improve your life with. And so the first part of the another like this is another way to build a very good relation with the Quran. The first part of building a relation to the Quran is al jazr. This is when you place the Quran very high on priority list. So and always reading, memorizing, contemplating, and always being consistent. So no, so it's okay if you don't do that much. It's just that you have to hold on to like some ayahs and things like that and really get deep meaning from them. Right. Well, alright, the second part is a bawsana. This is basically when you use the Quran as a judge and a decision maker for your life. Use it to influence your actions and yeah, use it as a guide. And yeah, we don't use so yeah, you use the Quran as instructions basically. That's it. Is there any questions?
Round of applause! Round of applause! Okay, thank you, Nabil. Stay on the stage. Come on, come here, come here, come here. Now we're gonna have a few minutes Q&A. Does anybody have any questions, comments for Nabil in his article? Yes, brother.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Nabil, what a beautiful reflection that you have here. My only question to you is for your study, for your research in this, how much has it changed you? How much has it affected you? And what have you changed about your relationship with the Quran based on this? Jazakumullah khair.
The biggest things I've changed is that always like every day trying to like keep consistency, even though like sometimes I'm like busy with studying for finals and stuff like that. I always try to always like review and like always make like for at least 30 minutes a day like dedicated to Quran. All right.
Any other questions?
I have a comment on one of the first ayah that you showed up is أَفَلَا يَتَدَبَّرُونَ الْقُرْآنَ. I think if you actually continued on to it, because the next one أَمْ عَلَى قُلُوبٍ أَقْفَالُهَا. Okay. أَمْ عَلَى قُلُوبٍ أَقْفَالُهَا. I think it would have been nice to continue the ayah because the previous point before it was, are we spiritually disconnected from the Quran? And in this case, it would be that there's aqfal, there's locks on the. Okay, the hearts are locked. They're enclosed. They don't accept what is coming in. Then that's similar to the spiritual disconnect. I think if you continued that, it would have been amazing. I would have been added to the point even more. Other than that, great presentation. I don't تتدبر القرآن. على قلوب أقفالها.
يتدبرون القرآن ولو كان من عند غير الله لوجدوا فيه اختلافا كثيرا. كيف وجه؟
That's it. Yeah.
All right. Any other questions and comments?
Nabil, get ready.
So Jazakallah khair, Aba Jibna, for opening up this, and you made my question easier. Wouldn't they ponder upon the Quran? أفلا يتدبرون القرآن أم على قلوب أقفالها? Or are there locks on their hearts? So why people are not reflecting on the Quran? Why there are some locks on some of the hearts? And how can we break these locks? This is question number one. So they do not reflect on the Quran because على قلوب أقفالها. On the hearts are locks. Question number one, how can we break these locks? Question number two, what do you promise between now and next inshallah reflection conference? Can we get articles. Now you showed us the value of reflection. But what is your plan to reflect on specific ayahs? You have two questions here.
I think the
Is how to break the locks to the day with respect on the Quran. Maybe, for example, you slap Ayman and Adam and tell them, stop playing soccer, stop TikTok, this is Absurd, and so on.
I think the biggest thing is that since so used to we're like submitting to our like world desires and having fun, that we lost the sense of like understanding and the sense of understanding and like emotion when we hear the Quran, because back then they used to get very emotional when they heard the Quran. I think the biggest thing is to try to cut off like the world like desires and try to cut. And also another part is like shaitan. He doesn't. Yeah.
And what's your plan? The second question, what is your plan?
Um. Till next year.
Yes. How many articles do you plan to write, inshallah, so that you reflect on the Quran?
Like maybe two or three. Yes.
Only 2 articles a week is
Two,
salah.
no, 2 articles
Salah.
a year. A year.
Yeah.
What about
To make a promise.
Okay.
I am okay if you tell me 1 article a month.
Okay.
Okay.
Wait. What? One.
1 article a month.
Wait. How about can you do 1 article to every 2 months? Please.
Okay, and you are recorded. You will see 1 article every 2 months. You said.
Okay, I was given a recommendation to not clap. We're out of time. We have to move on. It's all right. From now, we're gonna do a takbir Allahu Akbar. Okay, just to make our life easy. Okay.
That is respectful man who gives you the recommendation. He needs to understand that the sheikh over here with the crew. That ignorant must have come and talk to me.
Okay, sounds good. So we're gonna continue on. We have our next article, rapid fire. Okay. Okay. This article, again, welcome embracing hijab, embracing myself by the girls.
Assalamualaikum. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can. We're fine.
Okay. All right. So I'm the author of Embracing the Hijab and Embracing Myself. So when I first accepted Islam, like I don't have slides for this, but it's just a little speech for the girls. But maybe the guys can relate to it, maybe. I don't know. But anyways, when I first accepted Islam like 3 years ago at 16 years old, I didn't fully like understand what wearing hijab would mean for me.
We are adjusting the volume a little bit.
Oh, okay.
Actually, it looks like it's coming Try. Give me a second. Try now.
Okay. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, getting better.
Okay, is it better?
Yeah, just try to raise up your voice as much as you can.
Okay. All right. So I wrote the article Embracing the Hijab and Embracing Myself. So when I don't have slides for this. I don't know if you guys heard me, but I don't have slides for this, so it's just more of a little speech. Anyways, but when I first accepted Islam like 3 years ago, like at 16 years old, I didn't fully understand what wearing hijab would mean for me. At the time, I knew it was part of my faith. I knew it was part of my identity as a Muslim, but I didn't realize how much it would test my patience and sincerity and trust in Allah.
The voice does not make sense. I'm trying to do whatever I can to accommodate for this. Give me a second.
Okay.
Oh. Try now, please.
Okay, is it better? Hello. Hello.
Keep talking, please.
Okay. Can you guys
Yes,
hear me? Is it loud?
very loud now.
Okay, it's very loud. Okay. All right. Do I start over or do they hear me from the beginning?
Start over, please.
Okay. So I am the author of Embracing the Hijab and Embracing Myself. I wrote this article just more of my journey with hijab and how I was when I converted to Islam. So I accepted Islam when I was like 16 years old. I didn't really fully understand what wearing hijab would mean for me because I grew up like my parents guided me into Catholicism and we wore a veil, but it was never like how it was with Islam, of course. So yeah. So at the time I knew it was part of my faith. I knew it was part of my identity as a Muslim, but I didn't realize how much it would test my patience and sincerity and trust in Allah. I still remember the first time I wrapped my hijab and stepped outside. My heart was full of excitement and fear at the same time. Excitement because I was obeying Allah, and fear because I didn't know if I was doing it right. But despite that fear, I felt something beautiful that day. I felt a peace I had never felt before. A sweetness in my iman that reminded me why I choose Islam in the first place and why Allah guided me to Islam. As time passed, I realized that wearing hijab wasn't a single decision. It was a choice I had to make every day. Some days it felt easy, other days it just felt really heavy for me. There were times when I questioned myself, times where I compare myself to other sisters who seem so confident in their modesty and secure in their faith. I would look at them and wonder why I struggle with things that seem effortless for them. And I think one of the hardest parts of my journey was feeling like that. Like I had to figure everything out on my own because I'm the only Muslim in my family, and inshallah, they'll accept Islam eventually. But I didn't always have sisters around me that reminded me of Allah and Islam. I didn't always have like people who gently reminded me and helped me grow. When I don't have that support, it's easy to start like questioning yourself. So I found myself wondering if my efforts were enough. I wonder if I was really doing this for Allah or if I was just trying to look like I was. So looking back now, I realized like how much the people around me affect our hearts, not always in big ways, but sometimes in small things. The habits we pick up, the conversations we have, the things we slowly start accepting as normal. That's why sisterhood like matters so much. Not because we need perfect friends, nobody's perfect, but because we need friends that remind us of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So friends who encourage us when we're struggling. So friends who help us become the people we want to be. Best sisters are the best sisters are not the ones who pretend to be perfect. They're the ones who remind you that Allah's mercy is greater than your mistakes. There's the one there's they're ones who help you get back up every time you fall. Okay. So one of the ayahs that I always like stay close to my heart is from Surah An-Nur when Allah commands believing women to draw the veils over themselves and to protect their modesty. So every time I read the verse, I am reminded that hijab is not simply a command, it's a mercy. Allah cares about our hearts and our dignity and our peace and our value as women. And when I started looking at the hijab through that lens, it became something much deeper than a fabric. It became a reminder that every day I have a choice. Okay, I'm not saying like you have a choice, you have to wear it. Like, anyways, a choice to choose Allah over my desires, a choice to choose Allah over people's opinions, a choice to choose Allah when it's like the most difficult. That doesn't mean I've always gotten it right. There were moments when I felt like I wanted to fit in. So, for example, I would still like hang out with like my non-Muslim friends and stuff like that, and like I would like you know like I would just like adapt to their habits, like their environment, which is not the best environment to be. There were moments where when I wanted to wear things that didn't align with my values, moments when I tried to convince myself that small like compromise like wasn't a big deal. But over time, I learned that getting closer to Allah doesn't happen all at once. It happens through small choices. So one sincere like step at a time is like a good step closer to being. Um, so there was a time when like, I mean, it's still a time, but I'm always hiding my hijab from my family. I put it on after like leaving the house. Like I would just like pack other clothing in my backpack, and then I would just walk out, and then I'll put my hijab whenever like I stop at like a parking lot. I just put it on, and then I walk out. And during this time, like I would feel strong, but other days I would just feel exhausted of just putting it on. But this just like reminded me that Allah sees my efforts and even the hidden ones. So every struggle, every like sacrifice that I've made, every moment we choose Him despite like our fears, nothing goes unnoticed by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So today when I reflect my journey, I realize that embracing the hijab was really about embracing something much greater. It was about embracing patience and embracing sincerity and embracing trust in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and ultimately embracing the person Allah was helping me become. If there is like if there is one reminder I want you to leave from this is that don't like underestimate your struggles. Don't not think your efforts are too small, or do not compare your journey to someone else. Allah sees every step you take forward and towards Him, and even when nobody else does. And sometimes the struggle we wish we didn't have, or the struggles that bring us closest to Allah. Just remember, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala doesn't give you hardships you cannot handle. So as this is my test of always putting the hijab when I'm like walking out of my house, just remind you like you have your own struggles, and just know that Allah give you that because He know you can handle it. So even when you feel like you can't, just know you can. And yeah, this is my article. And may Allah keep our hearts firm and surround us with righteous sisters and allow us to always find peace and obedience to Him. Ameen. All right, thank you guys.
Probably this is the only mic that's working for this. Yes.
This is only... Okay, any questions or comments for the article? Yeah. Any questions or comments for this article? Probably from the sister side.
Are there any questions from the woman's side? Okay, I think there's no questions. No questions.
It's good that there's no question for Nora. And I'm happy, because I don't want to ask her anything. I don't want to talk to her because she stopped coming to Tamkeen. So she's a former Tamkeener. I don't want to talk to her. So we can let her go now and move to other committed Tamkeeners. I'm proud of the media team for their preparation for the setup. And you're letting us do everything ad hoc at the last minute. Yeah. Yeah, right?
All right. Thank you for that very heartwarming
article. Let's continue forward now to our next rapid fire article, not this one. All right, we're going a little bit out of order. Okay, our next article is Salah ad-Din al-Ayyubi by one of the girls.
Assalamualaikum. My name is Hussefa, and I wrote the article called Salahuddin Ayyubi. But in my article, I realized later that I never mentioned anything about how he was raised and Nuruddin Zengi who raised him. So that's gonna be like one of my main topics today. First, I'm gonna do a summary of my article. Then I'm gonna say how Salahuddin was raised. Then how we can raise our kids like this, and is it too late? And then last but not least, Q&A. So basically, Salahuddin's life was like I just talked about his whole life from beginning to end, and the Battle of Hutton, and like yeah, that's like the main stuff. And now we're gonna talk about Nuruddin Zengi. Nuruddin Zengi was not Salahuddin Ayyubi's biological father, but he took care of him as if he was his own son, and he was just like a really good example for him because clearly he raised him well so that he could liberate Iroquois. Like for example, when he taught him how to think properly with like 110% of his effort, and like taught him how to make smart decisions, manners, and he taught him how to stay strong when like times were really tough, when a loved one would pass away or anything. And even though Salahuddin was living in a palace, because Nuruddin Zengi was the emir, Nuruddin Zengi didn't like spoon feed everything to him. He didn't say, oh, you don't have to fight, you don't have to do this, you don't have to do that. He made sure that like he stayed strong and taught him how to do many, many things. I guess some people could call it tough love, but like it's not really tough love. It's just like actual real love. So, are we able to raise our kids like this? We can't like do the exact same thing because they're really different and we have completely different resources. And even myself, I like just want to have fun a lot, but we can still have fun while doing other things. And something that helps me remember life is not all about fun is that like this life is just a test, and like we can have all the fun we want in Jannah, inshallah. And like, is it too late for this? Like some people might say that, but like you might think that you spoiled them or whatever. But there's a saying that's like it's never too late to try, and we should all like make sure we go by that saying. Like for example, Saladin, he could have just like let the Crusaders take the land, but he tried, and when you put the effort in, you can accomplish anything. That's it.
All right, any questions or comments for our author?
What inspired you to write this article?
You repeat the question?
What inspired you to write this article? At school, alhamdulillah, I got to Islamic school, and we had a project to write about anyone who we wanted to. And like, I've always liked Salahuddin Ayyubi, like since like for a while. So I chose to write about him.
Should we give up our kids to somebody else who can raise them so they get raised properly, like Salahuddin?
No.
All right. Any other questions?
Nusayba, can you comment uh, on the difference between the first draft of the article and the final one, please? Because there is a big story. Uh, she sent me the first draft, and then I gave some feedback, and then there is a final draft. So, what is the difference between the first draft and the final article, please? And reflect on this.
So my first draft had some like things that weren't true, like some things that Shia said but weren't true. So then Shia told me like what was not true and what was true. Like like on my article I wrote like that some say like he was poisoned, whatever, but that was not true. He was just sick and then he passed away.
Yes, you want to understand, yeah, Shabab, even Salah ad-Din al-Ayyubi as a figure, whenever Nusayba, she made her initial search, there were tons of fake information. So you want to understand, yeah, Shabab, the enemies of Islam, they inject tons of fake information. And more specifically, Salah ad-Din al-Ayyubi, as one of the figures who took down Al-Fatimiyin, the Shia dynasty from Egypt, there were tons of fake injections. If you do not, ya Shabab, learn your deen the right way, your kids will not be Salah ad-Din al-Ayyubi. Your kids will have a totally different version of history. Barakallah fiki Nusayba. You did an amazing job and a beautiful article, and I enjoyed every word in your article.
We have one more question.
Okay. I actually wanted to answer my husband's question that should we give our uh, uh, kids to someone else to raise them? Absolutely not. Of course, we should be raising our kids ourselves, but we entrust our kids to Tamkeen every Saturday, where and when we listen to Tuesday halakas. So we do need to have somebody, a teacher or a mentor who is teaching them the true religion and giving them the option to choose and decide what's right and wrong. So yes, although it is our responsibility to be raising them as Muslims and and doing our part on it, we do need to have like credible teachers who we can learn from and also entrust our kids to. That's my.
I want to give this one for
Any words, Talha? Any words? All right. I thought Talha was about to be the MC. I was about to give up my position. All righty. Let's move on to our second featured article, which is, drum roll please, if this will work. Make sure that this clicker works. All right. A near-death wake-up call to remember Allah by the group. Hamza, Ayman, Adam, and Harsuna, please join me on the stage.
You gotta talk on the mic. Like this, like this. You guys hear me? No, louder, louder. Like this? Okay, very good. Okay, okay, so near death wake up call to remember Allah by all of us. Okay, next slide. Come on now. So it all started when we were at my house. It was like 8 o'clock ish. We were all very hungry because we were like fasting the whole day. It was like it was during Ramadan. Anyways, after the giant slaughter we say, we all go up to play some FIFA. Well, I beat everyone, and Adam and Ayman Hasuna, they kept arguing because they kept losing, and Adam was making some random TikTok in the middle of all this. couple minutes later, and we hear Hussein leaving. And it turns out he's going to Tarawih. So we decide, let's go with Hussein, because why would we skip Tarawih? Anyways, we enter the car, not knowing how this car ride would change the way we see Tarawih forever.
So there is 5 people in the car, including Hussein. There's Hussein driving, Ayman in the passenger seat holding Hussein's food, which he was going to eat for suhoor or after Tarawih. And there's me, Hassan, and Hamza in the back. So me and Hamza were on our phone watching TikTok, and that's basically what we were just laughing. We were like laughing at TikTok audios, and like it was like very corny, you know. It was very bad. And Hamza and Ayman, they were or Hasuna and Ayman, they were just talking about Arsenal and how it's such a bad team, and they were flaming Hamza for it because he's an Arsenal fan. And everybody was just yeah. Oh, okay. No, I'm not done. Since we had just finished iftar, everyone was full. Nobody was really doing anything important. We were just talking, joking around, and waiting until we got to the masjid. If you had asked me what I was thinking about during the ride, I probably would have said TikTok. Tarawih wasn't even on our mind, even though that's exactly where we were going. And then, in the middle of nowhere, boom! Oh, that's a big crash. So we were in the car and we heard screeching. So we looked up. That happened, and we were all confused. We got out of the car, but I was still in the car, like in shock, and there's food all over me. And the door won't open because that's where all the impact was. So I tried getting out, and it didn't work. So I said Bismillah, and then I kicked it, and it finally worked. Then I looked out, and it looked like a zombie apocalypse. Like there was glass all over the floor, there was plastic all over the floor, and it was just crazy. Then me, Adam, Hamza, Hassan, like grouped up, and we were just talking about like what happened. And Hassan was just complaining about his leg when he didn't even hurt it, he's just being a baby. And then Hamza and Adam were talking about I don't know what they're like, I forgot. Um, and then we saw smoke coming out from the headlight and engine. So we went up this big hill that led to a neighborhood, and we started talking about random stuff like if the police come, like what we're gonna say. And the police came, but they didn't come to us. So me and Heston went down to get police stickers, but they didn't give it to us. So I was like sad. And then when we came back, we were talking about how like we could skip school, but no one skipped school that day except for Hassan because he's like a bum. And oh yeah, and so Hamza and Adam remembered what Sheikh said about this one person. Uh, like she got in a car accident and said something bad, and I no. Oh, I yeah, fell off the cliff, yeah, and didn't remember Allah. So, yeah.
So our next section is about remembering Allah, because during the crash, uh before anything happened, I was like pretty alert, and I was like looking up, and then I saw my car, and then instead of saying anything related to Allah, I kind of said something bad, and that was really bad because Sheikh was talking about, I think a few weeks before that, that the Muslim like he like dies on what he was doing. So like if I died on what I was doing, it probably wouldn't be really good. So our main thing was to remember Allah in moment, because you never know what could happen, and if it could have been worse, and like I died on what I said or something, then we all could have been like bad, because like all of us weren't doing anything related to Allah. We were just watching TikTok and stuff, and we were talking about how instead we could have been like discussing Quran, because we had that Quran classes around that time, and instead we were doing bad stuff. No, we were on our way to Tarawih. We were all focused on things that were different. Some of us were on our phones, yapping about soccer, doing whatever, and we forgot about the reason we're in the car going to Tarawih in the first place. This relates to the ayah in Surah Al-Hajj. ولا تكونوا كالذين نسوا الله فأنساهم أنفسهم أولئك هم الفاسقون. And this ayah, it means like, do not be like those who forget Allah, so He made them forget themselves. This ayah reminds us of how easy it is to get like lost in the dunya and forget about Allah. And so like we have to remember Him because He's the reason like we are here, and obviously He can take our lives whenever He can. So we always have to remember Him because you never know when He could take your life.
Another ayah is وَمَا الْحَيَاةُ الدُّنْيَا إِلَّا لَعِبُ وَلَهْ وَلَهُ وَلَدْ وَلَلدَّارُ الْآخِرَةُ خَيْرٌ لِلَّذِينَ يَتَّقُونَ أَفَلَا تَعْقِلُونَ. Simplified is the life of this world is nothing but play and amusement. When I think about this ayah, I think about how easy it is to get caught up in things that don't last forever. A video might entertain us for a few seconds, but then we move on to the next one. Like the things that distract us today are often forgotten tomorrow. Alhamdulillah, everyone was okay that night, but the experience reminded us that life can change in a moment. That's why it's important to remember Allah before a difficult moment happens. Jazakallah khairan. Zuhur and
Not yet. Yes. Behold, we have a lot of questions. MashaAllah. All right, let's start from the front. Assalamu alaikum. Good job. Very good presentation. It was quite entertaining. So I give you guys a lot of kudos on that, keeping the attention to yourselves. So that was amazing. Good work together. Question: who is driving the car? Hussein. Oh, okay.
Assalamu alaikum. Again, yeah, I agree. It was a really good presentation. I appreciated it. I'm going to ask you guys a series of questions, and this is going to reveal how sincere you are, I think. Inshallah ta'ala. Are you ready? Okay, I'm going to ask you a series of questions. The microphone is going to go back to you. Number one, do you take what occurred to you to be a sign from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in relation to your TikTok? Okay. I'll give you the microphone after. So question number one is, do you take what happened to you to be a sign from Allah? Number two, what is your relationship with TikTok now? And number three, did you upload the video to TikTok?
So for number one, yeah, obviously this is like a sign from Allah. We take it as like we thought of it as like a test from Allah. He was testing us because obviously we could have been dead. Allah was testing us, and yeah, we feel like it's a sign from Allah. And about the TikTok,
about the TikTok video, do I spend more time on TikTok? I would say, okay, yes, but my TikTok feed has gotten so much better. Like, it's gotten better. There's like verses of the Quran, they're like daily reminders to do dhikr and stuff like that. And we did not post the video on TikTok. And then, oh yeah, and this was a good reminder because this was on, oh yeah, this was on Ramadan. I hope we answered all your questions. No, we did not post it. I just drafted.
actually, I'm not trying. And that's a good thing because you reminded me of something. I think it's warning you of something else. Because these kids, and that's actually like really cool because the last conversation we had before the crash. It was talking about my older brother Abu Gibna because that day my brother he was getting a new car, right? And Hassan was talking about how, okay, let's say I crash or something happens to the car and I can't drive. Who's gonna take us to fetch? I'm like, oh, it's fine. That's not gonna happen. And they can tell you that that was the last conversation we had before the crash. And afterwards, like subhanallah, like the last thing we were talking about was, what if something happened and Hassan can't take us to fetch because like the car, something happened to the car or something. I said, your older brother can take us. I said, no, that's not gonna happen. The chances are too low, and we ended up crashing.
I want to say that the Tesla driver was Jewish, so
And I don't think that's relevant to the article. Anyways, more questions. We have a few minutes.
Talk. So just a comment. Obviously before the crash, you guys weren't expecting this, right? And so during the crash, obviously I wasn't in the car, so I don't know like what you guys were saying. But we should live for ashhadu anna la ilaha illallah. Obviously, you guys were saying that it was big, and you guys felt like you guys died. I remember you guys told me this, and so our last words should be like obviously you guys didn't die, alhamdulillah. But you should live for ashhadu anna la ilaha illallah because you don't know when this word should be stuck in your head. Does that make sense? And that's one thing. Another thing, always say alhamdulillah whatever it happens. Obviously this is from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He planned this crash to happen, right? So we say alhamdulillah. Even like in my life stuff happens, right? And so whatever happens, even bad, good, I say alhamdulillah. This is all from Allah. And so that's just what I want to say.
Jazakallah Muhammad. Serious comment? Are you gonna say a serious comment or are you gonna joke? Yeah, 1 minute.
What did you say? The last thing you said before the car actually crashed? The entire thing about if the car crashed, that's probably like 5 minutes before the crash. What's the actual last words you said before the crash?
Okay, the exact millisecond before you crashed, what were you saying?
So Hasuna, he said, oh, and then Alhamdulillah, that's what he said. Yeah.
Okay, you can connect the dots right there. Okay, any last questions? Let's get a.
Is the car okay?
So Alhamdulillah, Hussein fixed it with rubber bands and a cloth that were in his trunk. And since it was out of gas, he put vegetable oil and kept driving.
طيب يا شباب, let me mention a couple of things over here يا شباب. The first point is the article is extremely beautiful والله. If you did not read the article, you missed a lot. Whenever some people are in a near-death experience and then they document this in an article, it becomes very beautiful. Please يا شباب, this article and every article, make sure you are reading all. This is point number one. Point number two يا شباب, I don't know for how long will this incident have an impact on you. Will you remember Allah because of this incident till the end of your life, or you are gonna fade out and you need an incident every now and then? I do not see you, Shabab, that often in Fajr as you used to be. So please, ya Shabab, you want to understand the word as-siddiqeen, man saddaqa qawlahu amaluh. The one that his actions are gonna justify what he says. So if I read the article is beautiful, but I want to make sure your actions are aligning with what you said in the article, not just write a beautiful article and I stop seeing you in the Fajr in Masjid. The most important thing, ya Shabab, and I'm just gonna open the topic, and all of you, the Fajr group, plus Hussein, I want to make sure, ya Shabab, you arrange for a podcast for all of us, because I want to discuss this topic with you. Even I wanted to make this topic a debate in the conference, but Ridwan told me there is nothing to debate about it. Here is the Shabab, the question. Hussein, he's not here. I think he's online, whatever. Hussein, mashallah, he has been driving you every day if you are awake. The problem from your side, he would take you to the masjid and he would take you to soccer and he would take you to Lime scooters or whatever, correct? Couple of big concerns يا شباب. Hussein made the accident, okay? Would Hussein be blamed for the accident? Which means, here is the point. Alhamdulillah, all of you are safe. But you need to understand, even Hussein had to fix the car. The problem, ya shabab, if someone is doing something for the sake of Allah, and he's dedicating his time, and you know how much time he's dedicating for you, for your deen, and for your fun. But if he makes a mistake, I know maybe the accident is not his mistake, but if he makes a mistake, will you still appreciate everything he has been doing for you? Or are you going to end up being garbage and attack Hussein and start talking bad about Hussein? The second point, ya shabab, and this is very touchy to me and those who have been long enough in Tamkeen. You, the Fajr group, is a subset of Tamkeen, correct? In Tamkeen, there were some people committed to Tamkeen when they were young. Listen, ya shabab, I'm really scared about you. Some people in Tamkeen, they were committed to Tamkeen when they were young, when Tamkeen was taking them here and there and giving them fun. Once they started to get older, and now they know how to drive on their own, and they have the minimum wage job, and they have some money, they left the Tamkeen. And even some of them started to speak ill of Tamkeen. My question to you, Shabab, now you are young and you need Hussein to drive you around. Once you grow older and once you have your own cars and your own driving license, and once you have your own money, will you still appreciate what Hussein did to you? Or was the first time Hussein would tell you you are doing something wrong, you are going to be denouncing Hussein, speaking ill of Hussein, making parent conference, older people know what I mean, to speak bad about Hussein? Or are you going to be still appreciate what he has done to you? I have seen some of the Tamkeeners, as they got older, they don't need Tamkeen for fun anymore, and they started to speak bad about Tamkeen. When you grow older, will you still appreciate this? Or will you be bad and speak bad about Hussein? And because you no longer need Hussein? Or will you be like Hussein and drive others for Fajr, drive others for soccer? Which way you will go, I don't know. Maybe there is not enough time to debate this topic, but what I have seen across the years, wallah ya shabab, you are at big risk. And I don't know, ya shabab, in few years, when you have the license, when you have the money, will you continue going to Fajr with Hussein, or will you go to be bad?
Jazakallah khair, Sheikh. Let's get